The Biskinik of Choctaw folklore told the people of the good news across the land.
We continue our tradition
of spreading faith, family, and culture.
Chata athihaya tikba mahaya ka, iwakaya cha, anopa achukmaho, ilishtafama.
As our Choctaw people move into the future,
we rise and meet them with the good news.
This is Biskinik.
The bonds of Choctaw families have been tested for decades. Separation was forced upon our people as they came to Oklahoma from our ancestral homeland of Mississippi and into boarding schools such as Wheelock Academy. The Indian Child Welfare Act placed the power back into tribal hands in order to protect our families, a tradition that continues today with the foster care initiatives across Choctaw Nation.
This department is an important asset to the Choctaw Nation because we ensure there's a process where families can come in who want to become a resource home or foster home for their relatives, or if they want to become a traditional foster home for tribal custody children or state custody children that are Choctaw. And my role here is to help recruit and certify foster homes for children who need placement that they're either in state custody or tribal custody. I think the program was founded because the Indian Child Welfare Act was passed in 1978, and the federal government found that there was a large number of children that were Native that were being adopting out, and they were being adopted out to non-Native homes. So most of the tribes instituted a foster care program about that time to ensure that children remain with their tribes and their families. The process, when we certify home, we ask the family, will you ensure that the child's faith is attended to, and they agree to do that. And then it's the philosophy and the belief that family are the best ones to provide care for children. And then culture is a very important aspect, so all of our families agree to become knowledgeable and participate in cultural events. Our ultimate goal is reunification, and we've had homes that maybe there was domestic abuse in the home, and through the process the family's gone through education and training to learn how to handle their issues and maybe anger management. Foster care is important to me because there are a lot of children that go through traumatic events in their life, and they need to know that there's someone who cares about them, that we're there to ensure their safety and to love them. And so it's very important that, to me, it's my purpose in life to ensure that these children have a safe, loving, nurturing environment to go to.
In the late 1800s, young Native Americans were taken from their families and placed into boarding schools. Students were being prepared to live within the dominant white population. Today, we use that as a reminder of power lost and of the ties that bind our Choctaw families together.
We have been a foster family now for a few months. It's been pretty exciting, some journeys, ups and downs.
It's been a learning curve.
One thing that brought us to doing this is a Bible verse that we've always thought of was James 1:27, where it states to
take care of the orphans and the widows.
Yep, take care of the orphans and widows. For the past several years, we've actually experienced firsthand with some close family of children that needed help. And so we realized that we had the opportunity to open our doors. Didn't take any extra effort or money really, just to show some love and support. It came about after our local church. We did a series called Kazon, which is a Hebrew word for purpose.
It just takes your past experiences and then things that you're going through now and then what you look forward to in the future, and then gives you an idea of what you should be doing. And this was actually my Kazon. This was my purpose. This is why I'm here, is to help these kids.
We experienced with Emily being little, ourselves, we needed a little help, and reached out to Choctaws, and they were so open and welcoming. Yes. That is a lot of the reason why we went the direction we went.
Well, in our situation now, we accepted children that were split apart. So we had 2 boys in one home and their sister in another. Well, I mean, the number one goal of Choctaw Nation is to keep the children together, because you have that bond between your siblings, not just the fact that you have that culture, but you have this sibling bond. And now they're missing mom and dad because of whatever reason. And that's our main goal, is to try to get them closer together with their siblings and then work with mom and dad to try to get them through the obstacles they're working through to get those kids back with their mom and dad, because they need their parents, ultimately. Mom and dad are the best situation for them.
We realized going into this at an early stage that you're not just a foster family to a child, you're also a foster family to their entire family.
The Civil War, which began in 1861, disrupted the well-functioning Choctaw Nation school system. After the war ended, the nation wasted no time in restoring the system to provide an education as well as a home for our children. The Choctaw Nation continues and improves upon the investments made to the future of our Native children. Today, many programs are geared toward helping our families live out the Choctaw spirit.
We moved back to Oklahoma and we started realizing that there's a lot of children in need in this community. And I'm a speech pathologist, so I worked with a lot of children who have been through neglect and abuse.
Initially we went DHS. We'd adopted Brooke. It was what, eight or 9 years before we fostered again. At that time we'd skipped all the fostering continuing ed that we were supposed to do, so we had to start all over again. That's when we found out about the Choctaws, and since Tracy's Choctaw, we decided to go with them. It is somewhat easier than the DHS system. DHS, I can't remember how many hours it is, but it took us like eight weeks and one evening every week. With the Choctaws, they put us up in a hotel for the weekend and did it all at one go, and it was easier to do that way than it was through DHS.
We have made every attempt with both our daughter we adopted first, who's not tribal, and the two girls who are tribal, though, to maintain connections with their family and their culture.
We're involved with our church quite heavily, and we go pretty much every Sunday, and we consider it an extension of our family. It's our church family. Ever since we've had all three of the girls, they've been coming to church with us and being kind of adopted by the church as part of the church family too. So.
One reason we started fostering is we believe that God gives everyone a talent that you're supposed to use. You can't hide it away, you need to use it. And our talent is our ability to love any child like he or she is our own. Almost every child we fostered, and we fostered quite a few, we keep up with almost all of them. And we say, once you come in this door, you're family. And so we have a huge family of some really phenomenal kids, neat kids, who call us, send us cards. It's been fantastic.
It's a bug in the hot tub.
If you just embrace chaos and happiness, which we have, you can just embrace the chaos and happiness and realize those are good memories.
There were many orphans in the late 1800s. The Choctaw General Council made several expansions to accommodate the needs and care of our tribe. Wheelock Academy became a home to many students, soon becoming open to young girls of all tribes. It was a place to learn, a place to make friends, and it was the start of the nation's promise to keep families together.
He's Native American Choctaw, and so when we did decide to become foster parents, that was kind of the route that we just knew that we wanted to take.
They've been amazing. The support system, the communication, they're constantly making sure that we have what we need, making sure that we're okay emotionally. Children come into our house and then they leave, and they text us or call us and say, hey, how are you doing? I mean, absolutely servant-hearted throughout the whole thing. Early on, I'd seen a statistic about human sex trafficking and sexual exploitation with Native American children, and the numbers were astronomically higher. Me being a Native, I just felt an obligation to step in where I could and make a difference.
We don't have kids of our own yet, and I've always wanted to be a parent. So that, in a way, like just being able to love them and teach them and care for them, that's me. Like that's what I don't know, I'm fulfilled doing, is loving them as they're my own, even though they're not.
Being young people, not having had children before in our home, everything is a day by day for us. And we learn a lot from the kids.
We're called to love them. We're called to be what they need and to care for them. Even if they're here for a week and they leave and it's hard to watch them leave, we have to remember why we're doing it, and that's Jesus. And he called us to love them. We did it for a second. They go on. Our hurt from them leaving is okay in a sense because we have loved them enough while they were here. What are you doing?
Choctaw Nation's dedication to our families is a part of the legacy of Wheelock. The first school at Wheelock Academy was built in 1833. It is now a National Historic Landmark, with the remaining buildings providing a window into the history of our past. Wheelock is an example of why the Choctaw Nation fights for its tribal members and for the reunification of our families. This has been Biskinik. Hashimintipa I Chapinsa Cheki.